Good afternoon. And I'm here to introduce some of our very successful alumni here. We're pleased to have 5 of our very fine alumni who have done very well, and hopefully one day some of you are going to be here among us and talk about your stuff. So today I'm pleased to introduce this distinguished alumni. I have 5 of them. I would introduce, and then I'll let the floor to Steve, and who will moderate this session. Okay. Steve Patrol, he is one of our very fine alumni. Steve Patrol is a leading entrepreneur in both technology and communication, and currently he is the CEO of Technology Solutions. Technology Solutions is one of the region's most respected and well-managed technology companies. He also serves in the Dean's Executive Advisory Board. He received a degree in management from Eastern Michigan University. Steve. And we have Thomas Marks. He's also one of our distinguished alumni. Thomas Marks is the owner and president of ASCC Incorporated, a full-service information technology systems and network integration company. Tom is a proud graduate of Eastern Michigan University. Tom. And we have Lou Santoni. Lou flew from Crown?
I drove from Baltimore. Yes.
Drove from Baltimore for this. So Lou Santoni is the owner and president of Santoni's Marketplace and Catering. I believe 100 employee company.
160 employees.
160 employees. And Lou also, in addition to that, Lou also helps young adults achieve their goals through mentoring, consultation. He graduated from Eastern Michigan University with a degree in marketing. Linda Gerard, I had pleasure to listen to you many times you spoke. Linda Gerard is the CEO and co-founder of Pure Visibility Incorporated, an integrated digital marketing company. She holds a BS degree from Eastern Michigan University. And then we have James Hafner. James, I think, came from
Southern California.
Southern California, where he got his MBA from Southern California.
No, the MBA from there, yes.
Right. So James Hafner is the CEO of the Northwest Surgical Development Incorporated, a management service organization dedicated to the aesthetics and plastic surgery market. He graduated from Eastern Michigan University with a degree in marketing. So let's give them a big hand.
Thank you.
Well, Steve,
You all
I'll
set?
have you take the floor.
How are all you today? Great. Good. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm here to moderate this session, but the session is really all about you. All right? You have the opportunity to ask questions and to be as engaged as you would like to be. I've prepared some questions, and I'd like to ask the first couple, but after that, to the point that you want to engage and ask questions, please do so. I'm going to refer to everybody here by first name. So we have Tom and Linda. My name is Steve. We have Jim and Lou. All right? I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to start at my left here, Lou. If you could, tell me your story, and tell me how did you get to the point from graduating from Eastern to where you are today. And you have 5 seconds. Little you, but take a couple of minutes and share your story, please.
Sweet Lord. No, I graduated in '85 with a degree in marketing, and I remember going through the interview process in that time, and when he brought companies to the campus and looking at opportunities, and nothing resonated with me. And I just felt there was something else out there, and I held off, and I went back to a great job I had while I was in college at EMU, doing these car shows around the country. In short, it took me back to the East Coast where my roots were, and I ran into an aunt and uncle who believed in me because of the things I had done, and because of, hopefully the character that I was, the good side of the character I was. And they they helped me secure a loan, loans and leases to start a catering business and a specialty marketing catering business. And I opened up in August 15th of 1986. And since then, with 18 employees, now we have 160. We're the 9th largest caterer in the Baltimore and the 5 counties surrounding metropolitan area. And it's not a big company, but I love what I do, and that's my story.
That's great, thank you. And Jim?
God, I hate when I do. Kidding. My story, let's see. I graduated from Eastern in '89. Sat, well, not in your chairs. We were over at a building called Prey Herald. I don't know if that still exists anymore. But
It does.
And probably like a lot of you at that time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go, actually, I'll take that back. I knew I wanted to make money. And I knew I wanted to be in business, but I just didn't know what, and which I think is very common. And I was very fortunate to have a marketing professor that kind of steered me down the sales route, at least initially. He said, and I still remember to this day, 25 years ago, his words to me were, listen, if you don't know what you want to do, go into sales. It's a great place to start because, number one, the harder you work, the more money you can make, but also you really, in business, you learn one of the key elements, which is the customer. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether it's business to business, direct to consumer, it's always about the customer. And it doesn't matter what functional area of business that you're in. And ultimately, when you reach the executive level, if you don't understand the customer, you're going to have a real problem on your hand when you make sweeping decisions without truly understanding your customer. So I did that, got into sales. I sold a very sophisticated advanced technology at that time. It was called a fax machine. And, back when you had to have somebody sell that machine, you can get it at Staples for about 99 bucks or less. I sold fax and copiers. So I actually sold business equipment, which is a very hard sell, which was great because it taught me how to sell. And so for 2 years, I really studied it, ate it, breathed it, drank it, and just learned my craft. From there, I moved into medical device sales, which is a great move. Outstanding industry. Applied all the same principles, learned the business like the back of my hand. And I really actually had a different path than you. I really went more Fortune 500 companies up till about 2004. I'd moved into sales management, got promoted in vice president role, ran North and South America for a couple of companies, and then ultimately in 2004 decided to take a risk and a chance. I opened up a small laser company providing Medi-Spa type services, laser hair removal. Did very well. Initially did very poorly at that. Was literally losing $20,000 a month and I thought I was going to die. Fortunately, turned that around, persisted, and sold that for probably 10 times my original investment, which is a nice deal. From there, I kind of enjoyed that, got a nice taste of that. Did another startup with, really I joined a startup. I didn't actually found the company. I came in as a executive vice president of marketing, launched a product, a medical device product internationally. Within 6 months, we were bought by a company for $300 million. It was a nice deal. And then lastly, once I got a taste of that, started my own company that I founded 4 years ago, which, as opposed to kind of the lengthy intro, really to keep it simple, it's plastic surgery centers. So we have cosmetic surgery centers on the West Coast. So that's my story.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Linda.
Hi. That's quite a story. I like the fax machine part. It was awesome.
It's pretty hard to sell.
So my story, I graduated from here in '97, and I did not know what I wanted to be. I did know, at first I thought I was going to be a psychologist. So I went through and I got to the end and thought, this isn't quite right. And I found Dr. Cooper over in telecommunications, and I took one of his classes and then ended up in telecommunications. Boy, I sure didn't I didn't know that it would actually take me on this wild journey right into the internet, because it wasn't in existence really back then. It was sort of in existence, but people weren't as excited about it. We did have a lab here, I remember that. A little lab, it was cute. So after that, I got my first internship in marketing, And I met this guy, and while I was in school, I ended up marrying him. And then I also got another job in marketing for a finance firm. And the finance firm would not listen to me. I walked into the VP of Marketing's office and said, I need a website. You need a website. This is it. I mean, I'm leaving if we don't have a website. So I got to work on my first website. And he wasn't as excited about all of that communication stuff as I was, so I went to go work in the Blue Guild Technologies world. Payment and presentment. I think that's how, I can't even remember anymore. Anyway, because you can buy everything on in e-commerce, that's what it is. So that's where I ended up. And I was in marketing again. But marketing wasn't as satisfying, actually. And I went to go work for a web development firm and learned about search engines and how important they are. But then that company wasn't doing what I thought they should be doing, and I thought I should just do it on my own. So nobody was listening to me again, so I just went off and started a company. But I did start a company because my brother-in-law believed in me, and my older brother believed in me. And they actually decided they would help me with my financing. So that was wonderful. I got a partner, and then 3 businesses later, I finally got it right with Pure Visibility. I have this wonderful digital marketing firm. It is 10 years old. I have clients like Covisint and CompuWare and Thomson Reuters and Heinz Food Service. Yes, the ketchup company. I sell ketchup packets to restaurants. I can proudly say it's pretty cool. But seriously, I have these great high-profile clients, and I'm having a ball. And a wonderful team, and it's been a great journey. That is for sure.
Great. Thank you. And Tom?
Yeah, I'm Tom Marks. I guess my story's longer. Maybe I should have been first because it's the oldest story, but the last I'll try to wrap up. I actually am a farm boy, and I'm from Nebraska. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in physics at the University of Nebraska, and definitely knew I was in the wrong field and had switched to business in my junior year. I took as many undergraduate classes in business as I could, and that's how I then ended up at Eastern Michigan University. They were very unique back then in that they had an MBA program, a master's program in business, and they had it at a night school program only. And they catered to the automotive employees, as I I ended up out here in the East, which I said I would never do, but I did, and it's been a good trip since. So I attended Eastern Michigan for 2 years, got my MBA in, you ready for this? 1971.
I was born then.
I was going to tell you. And I was also going to tell you, faxes. Oh my gosh. You know what a mimeograph machine is. That predated copiers.
There you go.
I sold smoke signals.
You got me. I could never start a fire. But that's how I ended up out here, and that's how I ended up in business. Business is what attracted me more than physics. Physics was too hard. And I found, not that business isn't hard, but when you like a subject, you can study it much easier. And I went to work in the corporate world after the MBA degree. In that era, if you read history textbooks, but in that era, they could hardly spell entrepreneur. In fact, if you did what they call a search now on entrepreneur, I doubt whether you'd even get 50 hits, because the term was not used very often. The MBA programs taught business management in large corporations. That's what they wanted to train you to do, to be highly successful executives, as we can evidence up here. So that's what I set out to do. I was going to be a big executive in a big corporation, because I was just a farm boy. I thought, well, that must be business, you know. Unfortunately, my experiences were not as rewarding as I had hoped. And so after about 12 years, 14 years of working in the corporate world, I realized that even though I was successful, I wasn't being rewarded. I wasn't being rewarded financially. I wasn't being rewarded emotionally. And fortunately, thanks to my wife, we were in a position to where I could start a business, and it was bootstrap. Bootstrapping with practically no money. And my wife was supportive, and we got a business started, and then it has evolved. So I didn't choose my business, it chose me. We started a business because that's the one I could find. And it's just grown from there. We now have, well, we're coming up on 100 employees. We do technology, communications technology. We do anything that is low voltage, voice, video, data, wired or wireless, copper, fiber, whatever. If you ask us if we can do it, we're not smart enough to say, what is it? We'll say, well, if it's low voltage, yes, we can. Then we find out later whether or not we can do it or not. But you can always cross-train people and get the job done. So that's how ASCC evolved. And somehow or other, Mike found me and tracked me down. So I'm joining this distinguished group. That's the story of ASCC and me. Actually, you're catching me maybe towards the end of my career, so maybe it is appropriate that I was the last one. So,
Thank you, Tom.
okay.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. Let me give you a little bit of my background, and then we're going to start to open up with some questions here. Again, my name is Steve Futrell. I am the founder of a company called Technology Solutions, which I founded back in 1995. I am a graduate of Eastern Michigan back in 1989. I started my collegiate career at Oakland Community College in the fall of '83, and then I've kind of moved my way through, came to Eastern after 1 year at OCC, and then on here at Eastern Michigan. Like I'm guessing many of you, and I don't know this, I'm guessing purely based on how Eastern was back when I was here, it's a lot of students that are paying their own way, a lot of students that are working their way through school, a lot of students that have some great work ethic and drive to be successful. And I think you're going to see that with this panel today. That was me as a young student. So I'm working my way through school with the summer jobs, working on campus, doing what I can to pay my way through school. I met my wife out here, and we were married in 1989, the year that I graduated, and in 1995, at the point that we had 2 children, and this was kind of a crazy week because we'd had our second child, moved into our second home, and I started my company. That was in April of 1995, and I was partnered with a friend, and still a friend today, who is out of Ann Arbor. You probably know him, Tom. Jack Wilson? You know him, Wiltech? No, I thought you might because of the cabling, the structured cabling and such that he does. So I started in 1995. My company at that time was called Infinite Technology Solutions. He and I split the business in 6 weeks in '99. So we took a multi-million-dollar business and we cut it in half. We split employees. That was difficult to cut in half. We split money. We split assets. We split customers. And it became Technology Solutions in 1999. I was operating out of my home way before it was cool to do that, and because clients wanted to come and see you and see where you were. So since then, I've started 5 additional businesses, so I still own Technology Solutions. We do business all over the globe. We provide VoIP telephone systems to businesses, to school districts, to whomever. We do business all around this country. And then I have, as I've mentioned, 5 other companies that I started through the course of the years that I still have. So that's a little bit of my story. I'm going to move into another question, and then as we're going, please feel free to jump in with questions, thoughts, or whatever. Yes, in the back.
2 questions. First question is for Tom. I currently have a startup right now doing bootstrapping customer discovery. Same situation, yours, no money. What did you find most, difficult things throughout this process, and how did you overcome that?
In the process of starting the business
For
with
bootstrapping,
practically no money?
Customer discovery.
Pardon?
And during your bootstrapping and customer discovery.
As to discovery.
Finding customers.
Finding customers.
Oh, finding customers. Keep in mind that in 1985, when I finally started my business, that's pre-internet, okay, pre-email, pre-everything, probably. So the standard way of finding customers was to advertise. I bought a franchise for the purpose of training and learning a new technology field. It happened to be satellite reception, satellite TV. Everybody remember the big dishes, or no one remembers it? Now they're little dishes, direct TV.
Yes, I have one of those.
When I started, the dishes were at least 10 feet diameter. I had to learn the technology, the business model. I did that through the franchise. The franchise required me to open a storefront, so I literally had a store which sold home electronics. Then we had an open house, just put up a big sign and invite people in any way you can attract them. And that got a lot of curiosity seekers in the store. And advertised, I hired some direct salespeople and follow up on leads, and that's how we got started.
Okay. And my second question is, since I'm going through this customer discovery program right now, I started an IT company dealing with real estate management. Is there any way that you could connect me with property management companies to kind of interview for my customer discovery? This is for everyone.
Well, not necessarily me, but there's so many resources available to you today as far as doing appropriate searches on the internet. Just by listing those, you're going to come up with lots of leads. Don't forget, people like to help, and all you need is one person to talk to you, and then ask them who else they recommend, and just network that through as many people as you need to find what you want. Does that answer your question, or do I need to start over?
I mean, that was kind of a question for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Resources. So I'm going through, I have to have 25 interviews with property management companies in 2 weeks. Usually single founders that we have to load. So I'm just trying to just leverage as many connections as I can to get the interviews completed.
And that's something that we might be able to talk about offline, I think,
Yeah.
for the purpose of this, and see if there's an avenue
Yeah.
to be able to assist. But I think that it's important to note, too, for all of you, and this came up in the session that I had earlier today, you take a look at a lot of us that were at school here years ago, and what we're going through from a business standpoint, and connections and networking amongst each other, okay? And being able to find those opportunities and things that exist. Well, I know that I didn't have a cell phone, which means anybody's phone number that I had back then was their dorm room or their apartment. How easy do you think it would be to find them right now? We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have LinkedIn. We didn't have the internet to the degree that you have it today. So you're starting at a whole different level than where we started, okay? The way that we marketed, or the way we might have done something back 10, 15, 20 years ago is clearly significantly different the way that it's being done today. And we've all evolved in how we're probably marketing and how we're approaching our clients and our client base based on that. So let me do this. Let me start with Linda on this. And my question for you, Linda, is if you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self, what would you say to her?
Ha ha. Believe
PG.
in yourself. Believe in yourself. I think that was, back then, there's a lot of chauvinistic attitudes towards women, especially in finance in the world. I remember that. It's hard for a woman to get out in this space and sit at the board table and be loud even I, today, have a hard time projecting sometimes. I have to remember, I have to speak from here, and make sure that everybody in the room can hear me. And most of the time I am the only female at the board table. And I have to be ready, and I have to be excellent. And, so not that you don't have to be excellent, you do too, I expect that. But I feel, and I did feel back then, that I had to work a lot harder. Today I still have to work really hard, but it's so refreshing to see that other women are at the board table, and they're coming. So, and you're in the room here, you're all going to be at a board table someday, and you're going to have to give a presentation of some sort, and your voice is going to be heard, and you'll be taken seriously. And that's they will actually move on your ideas, and that's what I would do. I would believe in myself, really believe in myself, and know that I can achieve anything, I can do whatever I want.
Great. Jim, what about you? What would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Oh, boy, that's a dangerous question. There's a lot of missteps along the way. I would say, don't be afraid to take chances. Especially, I didn't go down the entrepreneur route. Actually, my story is a little bit different. I didn't really go down the entrepreneur route until, my current company now I started 4 years ago. The company I did before that was 7 years ago. So prior to that, I was all, executive Fortune 500 type path. So I'd say take chances, take risks. Don't be afraid to take risks. You'll never, I love this line, the more security that you seek in life, typically the less of it you're going to have. So you've got to really be willing to put yourself out there and go for it. And that's what I would say.
All right, Lou?
I would say, I think about this. I have a 14-year-old son, and I was chatting earlier with a new friend of mine, and I would say that the things I say to him is the things I would say to myself at 20, and the things I would say to you is there's some good advice here. Number one is total gratitude for where you are at this place in your life. The fact that you're in a university, that you've got, however you got here, what you're putting yourself through here, other people are contributing, maximize every opportunity. The relationships, the people, the teachers, and if I had, I had people talking to me, but I wasn't present, I wasn't listening to the level. I know it's one of the challenges. You're 20, or you're in your early 20s, or in your late teens, or whatever you are. It's a challenge. But if you can get to a place where you can say, I am in a special place of perspective, of gratitude, and of seizing that opportunity, fostering those relationships, developing the plan. I talked earlier about having a vision for your life. Secondly on the vision is creating a team of people who will be advocates for you, of friends and support people. It could be family, it could be professional people, it could be spiritual people, coaches, whatever. Develop people who are pulling for you. The third is you need to develop that plan. What's my plan? You better be flexible with that plan. You better understand that you have a leadership component in this, whether you're called to be a leader. The one thing is for sure, you are called to lead yourself. And no one will be a bigger advocate for yourself than you. So you have to understand, if you want to be successful, if you want to be empowered, you got to say it's not your parents, it's no one else, it's you. This is your life. So if I had, so a couple other pieces, strong beliefs and perseverance and intentional. Be intentional with these opportunities. Don't let them waste away. Move on them. Take risk. You do that, become a person of action, and you decide, and and someone said believe in yourself. I would say, I have a friend of mine started a nonprofit called Believe Big. It's for the fighting and navigating through people through cancer. Believe big. I got shirts, I wear them, not only because I believe in their cause, because it becomes a mantra for me. God didn't create you guys for mediocrity. He created you for big things. You just have to believe it. So if you line your beliefs and you develop a team, a vision, and you train for it, constantly listen to everything and everyone that will inspire you, that will encourage you, and develop friendships, and you will fly high.
Great. Thank you, Luke. And Tom, what would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Well, when I was 20, number one, finish college. Number two, definitely work in the corporate world to continue your education. But don't do it for more than 5 to 10 years. And then start your own business. And that's it.
All right.
Get your education and then maximize your opportunities. And you'll maximize your opportunities for what makes you not necessarily successful or only successful, but happy with yourself. And you do that as an entrepreneur because you set your own goals and you're accountable to yourself. And you don't have to blame anybody else. You stay in that big corporation, guess what? Most of them have somebody to blame for their failures. So be your own entrepreneur and it'll drive you to higher goals.
Great. All right. Any questions from you? Yes, sir.
I have a friend, he has a web design company, and he asked me for a question, for advice. And so several questions. This company is in Detroit and Ann Arbor area. He has the technology, but right now certainly he want to find a company will pay for his service or asking for service. So how he market himself? Say for example, can he go to door, say in the Detroit area, try to go to each company, or say he join some kind of conferences so he know the customer. So based on your experience, what is the best way so you can give him the advice?
So
How
this
to find his
person
customer.
is starting a web development company?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
And they want to know how to find clients that would advertise or how they would find clients that would need the services
Yeah,
to develop
buy the
websites?
services. Say,
Okay.
for example, eventually, say, some of the small company can asking for service, so
Sure.
he has a revenue. So
Any thoughts on
how
that,
do you
Linda, since
advise-
that's kind of
advise him?
going to be a competitor or
Well,
something?
well, how much are the websites? So that's like how big, are they $20,000 websites? Are they $10,000 websites? Are they $100,000 websites?
He didn't have a price yet, but just because he has the technology, but he don't know how to find the customer and also the pricing. So in case you are the consultant, how do you help him to proceed with this one?
Well-
Let's say the prices maybe, say, one website, the basic website, let's say $400.
Oh my God.
Say
$400?
Yes.
I would say, then you're going, homeowner. You can buy it, right? My mom could buy one if she wanted one.
Yes.
That's anybody and everybody. A small business owner is looking anywhere, well, freelancer, $5,000. And a small business owner, anywhere from $10,000 and to $25,000, $30,000, depending upon whether it's an e-commerce site. E-commerce sites go up, and they can go far and wide, and it's expensive. Go ahead.
Well, now, I want to kind of just expand it for everyone else, because the question you're asking is really more of a universal one, which is how do I find my customer? Well, the starting point of that is determining who is your customer,
Yeah,
right?
that's what.
Who's the
yeah.
target market?
Right. Who are you? Who is the product that is, if it's hopefully differentiated, uniquely designed, has some value that's different than anyone else? Who is that for? And then from there you can go. Once I understand who it's for, now I can understand how do I go after that specific person.
Use different bait to catch a shark than you do a sunfish. So you have to know who you're going after, and then you obviously develop a business plan to attack that market and figure out how they make decisions, where they spend time.
Absolutely. Does that make sense?
His company is for small business, so that's the start of $400 for a
And
Yes.
And so that's important. The important aspect is for that individual to define, starting off what it is and who they're marketing to, okay? And from there, they can determine then how they're going to find that customer base. And it could be things through chambers of commerce, it could be through things of online marketing, which Linda could touch on, absolutely, among other areas.
Partnerships, but there's a lot of competition, and so because of that, finding a niche would be what I would recommend if you was going to go after a specific area, whether it's biotech or it's B2C, business to consumer
Well, how did you find your first customers?
relationship.
People you knew, networked?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, relationship. I mean, hey guys, I just started this great company and I can get you onto Yahoo and Google on the first page and you're going to have all kinds of business from it. Guess what? It worked. And, you know, I had manufacturing companies coming to me. I helped a manufacturing company double its size. Well, gee, that did work. See, Mario Scabaris, I was right. So, you know, great. You know, but it's a matter of, I focused on business to business. But this person might have to, and they really need to figure out their target market.
And we probably all experience that, and that's the advantage you all have with the internet and all the capabilities we discussed before that we didn't necessarily have back when we were in school, is the ability to connect with each other, the ability to connect with others in general, because it's that whole networking that's going to open up, you know, really the sky's the limit at that point for all of you in terms of the relationships and the relationship sale and finding an avenue for your specific business. Do you have a question?
Yeah, was like there any point where y'all felt like y'all want to give up or it just got too hard and you thought about giving up? What did you do to put your head back on focus, like, this is what I want to do. I want to go this way with my life.
Well, I know my answer is absolutely, but I'll let Tom jump in and give his insight on that.
Well, yeah, you run into ebbs and flows all the way through your life, especially as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurialism, especially when you're bootstrapping, is nothing more than a survival game. And many times you think you're not going to survive. Most of us that started that type of entrepreneurial effort can tell endless stories about wondering whether or not you're going to make this Friday's payroll. I wonder when I'm going to start getting paid. Why did I do this? Why are they asking me to pay this now? You know, you've got people introducing all kinds of pressures on you, and it's easy to come up with doubts, but that's the nature of the game. And you find a way to get around that. You find a way to overcome it through your network of advisors and just plain having stubbornness as a natural part of your life. I mean, I was once told I shouldn't get married, it wasn't going to last, and my wife of 50 years is sitting in the back of the room. Now, that's being stubborn on both our parts, because we don't.
She doesn't look a day over 39, by the way.
Oh, I robbed a crib. But anyway, that's the nature of it. A lot of times you feel like failure, but then that's what gives you strength. Because you overcome the small things. Believe me, you're going to know how to tackle the big things when they come later.
That's true.
What about the rest of you? Have you had days, weeks, months, years that you were questioning what you were doing? And
I'll jump in. In excuse me. In 2008, I'm in the catering business. I own a small, medium-sized specialty market in the Maryland area, Baltimore suburbs, and we were the 7th largest caterer, 7th and 9th at that time in the area. And as you all know what was going on in the economy, Detroit was impacted hugely by it. The wheels were falling off the bus, and I remember in September when every day you couldn't help but watch the national news, and these are huge layoffs of tens of thousands of people. If you were a company, and you were not impacted by that, you were gracious, but you held tight because you knew that there was uncertainty, and you could be impacted by it. And if you didn't make good decisions, and you were now being impacted by that and having to lay people off and dealing with a diminishing market presence or market conditions, you were not spending money on corporate catering. In that year, I had the top 25 of my best corporate accounts. We do event catering, we do corporate, but in that top 25, within 12 months, 13 of those top were gone. Either they were out of business or they were not doing any catering. It didn't make sense for them. It didn't look good excuse me, to be spending money on those things. We had to do some amazing things, and some of the compelling things that we did that were challenging was we had a very strong group of leaders in my company, and I brought from outside. So always, my advice to you is always have a good team of people that will always support you, that you respect, that will talk truth to you, that will encourage you, and that will lift you up when you need to and give you the advice you need and let you process the way you best process. And we had to lay off some folks. We had to do some compelling things in our company that year. If you can imagine the contrary forces of having to lay people off at the same time saying, I need to strengthen my sales and marketing, and I need to build a sales office for event catering, which was not in my sweet spot at that time, because I think that's the area of growth. While I'm losing clients and losing sales, those are the things that we did, and we wound up doing that, and we wound up, we hired a director of marketing while our competitors were shrinking their sales force. We picked up some good salespeople. We redid our website, all of our peripheral sales marketing stuff. And what happened within, oh, by the way, I was holding hundreds of thousands of dollars in checks every Monday morning that were due, that I owed people, and I was holding them while I had already maxed out my line of credit. And while 2 years before I borrowed a couple $1 million to revamp my whole operation. I went to the bank and I said to them, can you take that line of credit and turn it into a loan and reestablish the line of credit? And they gave me the best answer I needed at the time. They said no. They said, you have got some core problems and you got to sort out. And I said to I used that as marching orders. And I said to my team, my leadership team, I go, we're going to build, we have got to straighten our own act out, just like the government and everything else we see in our communities. We have to solve the problems. How can we ask for more money if we're not managing the monies that are trusted to us now? We turned that thing around. We paid off the line of credit. We never borrowed the money. And the bank said to us, I can't believe you handled this thing. I've never seen a company do that in the way you did it. I was driving a very nice car. I sold it because I lead from the front, and I said that I wasn't defined by that car, and I wanted to set a course for my company. First time in 27 years, I never gave raises. The first time I had to freeze 401k plans because of that tragedy. I cut my leadership's pay, including myself, and I never felt good about that. It says one thing I can do symbolic and people will see. I bought a work truck with roll-up windows and no power door locks and two-wheel drive, and my wife made fun of it because the tires were so small in the car. But the point was, it was leading and setting a course and being able to say in tough times to my people, here's what we're doing, and I know that I just laid off 4 or 5 people, a gentleman who had 4 kids, been with me for 20 years, I know all this is happening, but you have to trust me because I'm authentic, I care, and I'm going to do what's best for you. So my point is, to make a long story short, is there will be troubling times. You got to count on your core principles, your beliefs, your values. You have to pull deep into leadership. You have to use every resource you have. You have to be intentional, and you got to be committed. And if you do that and you're authentic, people will follow you to the end of the earth. But you build that credibility along the way. It doesn't happen the moment the crisis happens. It happens all the work that you're training and putting in ahead of time, so that when it does happen, you're authentic, you got credibility and equity in that team and in that company, that they will follow you and trust you.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to add to that? Or
I can add from a female perspective. My daughter is 11. She's been with me since I started the company, obviously. So it's been challenging from the perspective of, I have to be super mom. And I took on the role. I knew I'd do it, and I knew I could do it. But, I'm still competing. Mom is an as home as much as Daddy. Mommy, why can't you pick me up from school? Dad's always picking. He's the only dad that's picking me up from school. And so it's been a little bit of a heart-wrenching area because, and I've made the choice, and I'm living with it. But at the same rate, I've also made choices to 2, 3, 4 months out of the school year, I will pick her up from school. I don't care what meeting I've got going on. I will find a way to pick her up from school, get her to soccer practice, and then while I'm at soccer practice, I'll be writing that presentation. Ta-da, I can do this. I choose to do this. Yes, go ahead. Oh.
Continue.
No, I'm
My
done.
question's on a different subject, so if you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I have a friend very close to my heart, my fiance actually, and his problem is that he, like you, Steve, he went to a very good high school in our town, a private high school, and then after that stuff, family issues made it so that he could not attend college. But right out of high school, he got into a job, and now 6 years later, he has been the general manager of this franchise company for 4 years. And his problem is that he has no schooling. But he does have 6 years of experience, 4 of which are in top management. And his problem now is that he is ready to move on from this firm and from this job position, but he doesn't know where to go from here. He doesn't know where to go into, where to start looking for other opportunities. He has the stamina, he has the charisma, he knows how to give interviews, so he knows how to take interviews. He's a very, very good, hardworking person, and he just is kind of stuck in this one area where there's no advancement from where he is now, and he doesn't know where else to go so that he can, further his finances and his, quality of life. Sure. And get out of where he is right now.
Jim, you want to jump on that?
I'd start with what does he want? That would be my number one. So when I say what does he want, meaning I know this is an entrepreneur session, you don't even have to finish high school. I can tell you my old partner never finished high school. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there's a lot of people like that out there. Mm-hmm. that it doesn't come from here, it comes from here.
Well, he wants to get into business. He probably would love to be where you guys are sitting now. We both talked about starting a business. He is a very good business person, knows how to talk to people. He's a very good people person. So I think he just is so stuck in where he is right now that he just doesn't know how to move forward. But he does want to go into the business field and business world and into corporations and stuff. But he's worried that the schooling thing is going to hold him back.
For the schooling thing, I don't believe will, and I think Jim hit it earlier about taking chances, okay? And one of the things that I say in my presentation is life is about choices, and you get to make them, okay? And that's what I would say to him. There are some choices that he would have the opportunity to make here, okay? And it's going to take some insight, some really looking deep inside and determining what it is that I want to do. Where are my passions? What am I trying to accomplish? What do I want to get out of all of this? And there's a process probably that all of us have gone through at different points in our lives about what it is that we're doing or wanting to do or proceeding. And I thought you hit it right on the head with what you had said earlier. So is there anything anyone would like to add?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a perfect opportunity to get into business because he can depend upon himself and he won't have to blame the corporation.
Right.
You see, the only people that require college educations are the people that sort through people on the basis of your certificates. They don't have the ability, the luxury of evaluating the person. Your fiancé needs a sponsor. He needs to find somebody that has the capital and is looking for the talent. Now, his first job is to sell himself as having the talent. And there are lots of people out there that want to safely invest their dollars. And that's how you get started. If he can show that he has the talent and the passion, send him my way.
Yeah. I'd like to add, it would be a limiting belief if he believes that lack of a formal education is impeding his abilities to proceed. It's not that he's not aware of it. He should be aware of it, but he's got to create a saga. And he's got a great story. He's got to create a saga that is compelling, that shows a deeper character for having not have those resources and to jump in there and what he did with those opportunities along the way, and so he's got to be able to frame his character. He's got to be able to frame what he did in a challenging situation and how he moved above it. Other people may not have that, So he's got a great opportunity. He's got to look at it a different way and market himself in a way, and never ever doubt that the strength he brings to any company is diminished. And if he believes that, he believes big, and he frames it that way, then it takes the pressure off, and he will start moving without fear and without.
You had a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to
I
follow?
was just more so a feeling of being stuck, when somebody doesn't have that education, and they weren't exactly a big school person, they weren't into math and science and all that stuff, but they are a great business person. They have that first aspect. They just don't know what the first step to take is into getting out of where he is right now to move forward in his career.
There are a lot of programs that exist out there through the Small Business Administration and others where you can have mentors or you can talk about starting a business from that perspective. Mm-hmm. There are groups, I'm sure, here at Eastern from the standpoint of, I know that the dean has different mentor programs, okay? And you might talk to the dean about something like that of, could he come and participate in a mentorship or things of that nature that might open the door. But the opportunities are out there. The opportunities exist. I think that we as individuals are our own stumbling block, okay? So until we open this up, because one of the other things that I say in the sessions is that our mind can't differentiate between real and imagined. It's just what we put in it. It's not going to differentiate. So we have to believe that we're capable of whatever. Because the world is filled with entrepreneurs that have grown companies from nothing to billions of dollars, or hundreds of millions, or tens of millions, or millions, or 100,000. The world is filled with entrepreneurs that have done all of that. So it's just a matter of choice. And there's a lot that goes into that. I don't mean to simplify it, but there's a lot that goes into that. But there are resources available too. So, yeah.
Well, this is a question for everyone. With so many people wanting to start businesses and become entrepreneurs, what advice would you give as far as making your business stand out versus someone else that's doing pretty much the same thing as you? Like, what advice would you guys give?
Linda?
Stand out. I think you need to amplify your message, obviously to the right audience, but the audience that wants to receive it. And that message has to contain your passion. And within your passion is what's going to make you stand out. You are your business.
Right.
How many people do you have in your business so far?
Well, I haven't started one up yet. I'm just,
Okay, but you are the leader. You are the business.
Right.
Then you are it. So what message? What is your brand? What is your message?
Well, really, with myself, I'm more of I'm a musician as well, but I want to start my own record company, and I want to start a clothing line as well. But with so many people in that field, or just in the business field, period, it's kind of hard to market yourself when there's so many different people doing the exact same thing as you. But I know you can be unique and make it stand out, by being yourself. But is there any other ways as well as to branching yourself out and getting other people to believe in you versus going the other routes with another company or another label or something like that?
And I think everybody can probably add a little something here. I know, Lou, are you the only catering company?
I think I may be.
Yeah, see? So, catering companies exist, or technology companies or whatever. So, Lou, why don't you?
I would say, gosh, it's such good stuff here. I would ask you this question. First of all, I think it's great you have a vision of what you want to do and the things that bring you life, and then you're heading on the right path. The question is, what do you see about the companies, and this is true of everybody, when you think about a company in a particular area, whether it be a record company, a clothing company, a car company, what is it about that company that differentiates when you see a commercial, you see a marketing campaign that gets your attention?
Advertising.
It could be a lot of things, but you have to discern that. It's positioning. Subaru, I've studied a car company. Subaru does an amazing job of marketing because they go to emotion better than any other car company. And they're it's a good car company. Do you know that Subaru's in their Outback, their competitor in the Honda line is the Crosstrek? Do you know the Outback sells at 10-1? Because and guess what Honda's going to be doing next year is trying to make that car look like it and feel like it. They go in love, emotion. There's kids in every one of their ads. They're giving components out, or we give to 6 charities every time we sell a car. We're conscious. It's my kid, my little picture of my daughter sitting in that seat next to me. Safety. I love my kids. It touches on emotion. The point is what differentiates. It's not about Subaru. It's about what effectiveness, and life leaves clues. You just have to pay attention to them. If you ask good questions, you'll get good answers. If you say, what are the best companies I know out there, they're differentiating, in that area, in that sector, what are they doing? And then you'll go, oh. And one of the things Jim said earlier about getting started, I thought was really compelling. He jumped into a field, and this is important for all of you to pay attention to. He jumped into a field that may not have been his first suit, but he was advised that he could learn a ton there. And he said, I learned it top to bottom. And I learned skills. So he took the education. You walk out of here with your degree at the end of 4 years, or if you're getting a master's, you get that degree. What he did in 2 years, they paid him to get that degree by positioning yourself in the right job and saying, I'm going to, this job, because I built a team of people who are smart, they're giving me advice, they're saying, if you want to learn this, or you want to launch off to here, learn this and learn it like it's the back of your hand. So you may not jump right into it, but you may parallel jumping into it while learning about it, by understanding positioning, by connecting with somebody else who's doing it and learning everything they're doing about it. And this is true for everybody, whatever your passion is. You may be able to start it right from the get-go, or you don't have to start from the get-go. I spoke to a gal earlier, said, you inspire me, I want to start a catering company, I work for a catering company. And I talked to her, I said, don't worry, don't have a limiting belief that having not enough capital is going to stop you. You may work for somebody, and if you find the right company, they may want to get the heck out. And you've worked in such a way and developed such a relationship that they may sell it to you and they hold the mortgage. So there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat. The important thing is about being intentional, being very committed, and you'll figure it out. If you're driven, you will figure it out.
Yeah,
if it's important to you, you will figure it out.
I think you hit it right on the head. I think you're taking a step ahead, and this really goes for everyone, because I think this is such a key element in entrepreneurship. Take a step back. First off, know your market cold. And this actually goes to your fiance. If he truly understands his business better than anyone else out there, now you can start to identify opportunities. What are the opportunities? What are the voids that exist in your particular market? Then when you truly understand what the opportunity is, now you can craft your product or whatever, your situation, craft that to the opportunity. That's the real starting point. Take a step back and look at your business. I think one of the problems we often have, we get myopic. And we assume that this is the way things are, so this is the way it should be. I'll give you our industry as a perfect example. Started this business 4 years ago. We essentially own cosmetic surgery centers, okay? So if you or your parents have ever been to a plastic surgeon or a cosmetic surgeon, or even a doctor's office, right? It's not the best experience in the world, is it? First off, you call them on the phone, it takes forever to get through, you get put on hold, they're rude, they're just not the most customer-friendly market in the world. They're open from, 9 a.m. to noon, they close from noon to 2, and then if you're lucky, if you call at 5:01, that they haven't hung up or they haven't put their machine on hold. Not a real open on Saturdays. Do you work during the week? It's going to be real difficult to get in to see them, isn't it? Okay. There's a myriad of things. So what do? We look at our business and say, wow, what a great opportunity. Let's make our business accessible to the everyday consumer. Okay? We open at 8 a.m. We're open till 6 at night. We don't close for lunch. When someone calls our office, it goes directly to a dedicated person. When you typically call a plastic surgeon's office, you get Betty Sue on the phone, you want to know, you have a question about a procedure. Betty Sue says, oh, well, I'll have Joni call you back later today, she's busy. Boom, you just lost that person, okay? Ours, we've got a dedicated person, they're going to be focused on you. Or you get Betty Sue at the front desk and she's got a patient in front of her, please hold, bam. Not real customer friendly. So there's an opportunity there. We're open on Saturdays, okay? Come see us on Saturday, not a problem at all. Oh, well, Dr. Jones is booked out for the next 4 weeks. Great, I can get you in tomorrow. Not because we're not busy, but because we dedicate our schedule, and the way that we work our schedule is that patient can see us very quickly, okay? The difference is Dr. Jones sees patients once a week. We see patients all day long. That's why Dr. Jones, everybody thinks, oh, Dr. Jones is so busy, he's booked out 4 weeks. That's because he didn't see friggin' patients, that's why. So anyway, long story, go back and really look at what your niche is. What's the opportunity? The starting point to that is, which I talked about in my session earlier today, is know your industry, know your market. It's okay to start off in if you want to go the corporate route to start, you really want to be an entrepreneur, start the corporate route, but learn that business cold. Then make your move. Question?
All right. In the red, I know that you had your hand raised.
I have a question. I know if you have some manager experience, so what's the difficult things do you think is for manager-employer?
For the manager-employer, what are the difficulties in that relationship? Tom? Manager-employer relationship.
Manager-employer. Well,
Manager-employee relationship.
Oh, management-employee relationship. The hardest thing for a manager is to stay a manager. Many of them think they want to become friends. And that's the worst thing you can do, because an employee, the employees want you to be the manager. That's why you're the manager and they're the employees. So you have to act like the manager. Don't get emotional. Stay calm, think rational, because they expect you to do that. They're the ones that are excited and upset and are paid too little and are being abused, and they have all the problems. You're supposed to have all the solutions. So don't feel like you need to be their friend. Just realize you need to be their leader. And it comes down to leadership. If you think you need to be their friends, you're probably doing a poor job of managing. They want you to be the rational, fair, equitable thinker.
Anyone else want to jump in on that? Anyone have anything to add?
I do. I would say that, and I know it surprises you that I have something to say about that, but I would say the most important thing is empowering people and creating an environment where, in my company, I've learned firsthand when I was too strong of a manager, then people back off. It's like you're going on a trip and someone says, "I'm responsible for where we're going." Well, that person doesn't have to pay attention. But creating teams of layers of leadership and accountability where those folks are empowered and they know that you're counting on them, certainly watching the dashboard of performance to make sure that they don't get off track and the world doesn't fall off its axis. But it's empowering people to perform, making sure that they're totally crystal clear on what's expected of them, and then allowing them to be engaged in the process of solutions. Because when people and teams of people from leadership down to management, down to rank and file, when the people are involved in the solutions, it's a whole, managing them becomes far easier. And I found that through my own mistakes, through my own strong personality, and I had to back off, and I had to more empower folks so that they would perform at higher levels.
So that's the mean you told me about inspire the people.
I'm sorry.
So that's during the last time you told me inspire the people to doing something.
Inspire, yeah. It's my technique in life as a father, as a leader. If I had to think about ways I'd want to be moved to doing something, I call it the 2x4 effect, like someone hitting you over the head and forcing you into doing it, or hitting you with a cattle prod. Not physically, but by fear and other techniques. I just don't find that compelling. I don't find that it holds water. I don't find that it would move people to do something for any length of period of time. What I find is the most inspiring from the management side and the leadership side is to figure out how to lead in a way to inspire people to want to take ownership, want to be engaged, want to care, because that is so much more highly leveraging, and it's so much more of a better way of leading. It's not to say you can't have hard conversations and you don't hold people accountable, but it's a whole different paradigm, and I don't even know why people do it any other way. It doesn't make sense to me. You know, one of the greatest leaders in the sports history is John Wooden. If you read the book, Fellowship of Christian Athletes published it, and they talk about Tony Dungy, and all these people were impacted by John Wooden's leadership style. He was never a yeller. He was never a berater. And you're going, wait a minute, if you asked anybody in the sports industry who was one of the best coaches of all time, John Wooden is right up at the top.
With Bobby Knight.
With Bobby Knight.
Same style.
Yeah, same style. But Bobby Knight wasn't asked to leave. John Wooden wasn't asked to leave. No, my point is that You can't, there was old paradigms. Bobby Knight's style would not work in today's world, I don't think. And I don't think if he would have tried John Wooden's style in a world, and John Wooden's style was during Bobby Knight's era. They were two different people. And I think you have to find the style that's best for you, that's most effective. For me, it was inspiring people, being able to do tough love when you had to, but moving people to want to do right for you.
We've got about 5 minutes left. Did you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
First, I just want to thank you all for coming because I think everything you guys are saying is real valuable. But as somebody that's been in sales for like 2-3 years, so I guess it kind of applies to Jim and Lou. I guess how long did you guys stick with sales until it kind of took you to your next level in your career? And how important was that sales career to you?
Jim, I'm sure you can.
I love sales. I think sales is critical. It's such a great starting point. I'll give you my fault. I'll bear myself here. I probably stayed in it too long because of my own immaturity level at the time. I started in sales in summer of '89 and stayed in it with, I changed a couple of different companies and such, but I didn't move into sales management until '99. It's almost 10 years in sales. Too long in my estimation. But I would say it really is up to you and what your goals are and what you want to accomplish. Okay, but the one thing I would tell you is become excellent at it. And when you feel you're excellent at it and you're ready to take that next step, it makes it so much easier to make that step because you know it so well, you can teach it, you can coach people if you want to move into sales management at that point, and that gives you the opportunity to excel at that next level as well. But unfortunately, it took me a long time to do that because I was a little bit cocky at the time, surprisingly, right? And but that held me back because people were like, wow, can this guy, I'm not so sure he can lead a team. And fortunately, someone took a chance on me. It was actually rather funny. Took a chance on me to move me into a role where the other regional managers all had 8 to 10 salespeople each. They gave me 3. Wow.
I'd like to ask Jim a question because he has the most depth in the sales side. How do you differentiate between someone who's good at sales and someone who could be a good sales manager? Because sometimes they're overlapping and sometimes they're mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. How do you discern the difference?
It's very key. The old saying is take your best salesperson and make them a sales manager. You get a bad sales manager, you lose your best salesperson. So. How do you differentiate? You really look for the key traits of a good manager. Do they lead? Okay, that's leadership is everything. Does this person have leadership skills? Do they have the ability to manage and lead other people? Or are they really an individual contributor? And those are things that you just have to discern. That's my number one, and I'm sure there's a lot of different.
Good. All right, let's try to get to a couple more questions. I know you've had your hand up.
Quick question. I just want to thank you guys as well for coming out. What suggestion would you guys give a student who wants to start his own business, but he also owns a full-time job, goes to school full-time, and I really don't have that much time to dedicate to it as I would like? So what would you guys suggest that I do or what I could do to better help me run my business?
Linda, do you want to take that?
I think you need to set aside time in your schedule. Really, it's your choice. You've got to find a way. To start a business, it does take a lot of time. In my case, I was lucky. I had family to help support so that I could launch the business. And I also did some work while I was working at another company, So during the day, I had my day job. At night, I had my night job. And then I was a mom. So it's how passionate are you about starting your business?
I'm very passionate about it.
Then just do it today. Go. Don't wait.
I'd like to say time is not usually the issue. It's prioritizing your time.
That's right. Prioritizing.
If you look, I know entrepreneurs that say, if you want to have time, turn off your TV. And they literally throw their TVs out of their houses. You'd be amazed how much time that generates.
We have to take the video game on.
We're down to about a minute, okay? I don't mind sticking around for a couple of minutes after. I don't know if you guys all have time for an extra few minutes if you'd like, but I know that you had your hand up.
I just had one quick question. Would you guys recommend or did you guys go straight from undergrad to graduate, or would you recommend going like being undergrad, working in the field of more sales, then going to graduate?
I just simply have an undergrad, so I don't know.
I have strong feelings about that. Right or wrong, I have strong feelings about it.
Yeah, I do too.
I went and took my GMAT right after college. I thought, okay, I'm going to go do my MBA right now, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I think it just wasn't relevant. You know, I just didn't have enough experience. I think the sum total of my experience was washing dishes at a steakhouse and parking cars at the Marriott. You know, it just wasn't really relevant. So I took the time to really learn about business first. Then when I went back and did my MBA, everything made sense. And when I came to class, I was excited, believe it or not, I was excited to come to class. And my hand would go and I would write. I'm like, wow, we could use that today. Because I was doing it while I was going to school. I was like, wow, that's a great idea. That's something, and bam, you put it down on paper. That's just my personal feeling.
Lou, do you have any thoughts, or Linda?
The only thing I agree. I think when you're in the right place to have the perspective to maximize those opportunities, as Jim said, sometimes it is a gap, and a gap is a better place to start. The other thing too is you may be with a company that may pay for it. So you know, you may be able to do it. And the other thing I would tell you about it, and I didn't get my master's degree, but the longer it takes for you to get into it, if you try to do it 20, 30, I mean a long time after you graduate, your skills and the ability to and life gets in the way, can get in the way. So before craziness happens, and sometime after maybe maturity happens and perspective grow, you know, might be the right time. I think it's a personal issue, a personal question you have to discern for yourself. You've got some good perspective on it. If you're really intentional and you're going in and you're like, I know I need this degree to get here, and you're really clear on it, then do it. If you're not clear and you still want to go in and I'm not ready, then then maybe not do it.
All right. We got a couple more. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, looking back, what one thing you wish you understood about entrepreneurship before you ever started?
The one thing that we wish we knew about entrepreneurship before we started.
Cash flow, positive. That's really important.
Cash flow is important.
Positive.
Tom?
I think the value of a business plan. Too many people charge into things without having a plan. If you have a plan, you're more likely to have success because you've already defined it in your plan.
Okay, so on a daily basis, what do you do to grow as an entrepreneur?
On a daily basis, what do we do to grow as an entrepreneur?
I would advise, I've been a part of a leadership group in Maryland of people in non-competitive, it's kind of a board, part of a tech group initially, and then when we kind of went on our own. And so I would say put yourself around the brightest mind, develop a team of people, and put yourself around the people who inspire you, keep going back for further education. I'm not saying whether it's formal or informal, education be taking a seminar. There's a Loyola grad school right around the corner from us, and they put on continuing education stuff. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in a seminar, I want to tell you about sales management and sales leadership. I was blown away by a guy who's the local franchisee for Sandler Sales System. Mm-hmm. And this guy, Matt Newberger, was so sharp, and him and I became friends, and before you know it, my sales team is, I'm going to reinvest in them to get there, because she had a marketing degree, not a sales degree, but she's a smart gal. I'm committed to her. I'm going to go, I realized I found the right match to grow her. But I wouldn't have learned had I not put myself out there. So you got to put yourself out, you got to pull yourself out of the weeds sometimes, and strategically to make those connections, to learn things, talking to many people who are far smarter than you are, and just and read and listen to tapes. I listened to Warren Bennis and Robert Townsend on cassette tapes. I'll tell you how old that was, about leadership, you know, and about inspiration. And I'm telling you, I love it. You know, the principles that they taught, you know, are still hold true today. When the CEO of, when he was with Avis, and he put himself through, Robert Townsend put himself through their own training program to see how tough it was. He said, my empathy for what those folks went through grew immensely. They're going, And he goes, he was down at Detroit Metro, wherever it was, and he said, and they come up to me, he goes, boy, what kind of guy goes through a button, he goes through a process like this? He goes, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm the CEO of the company. And it was, that kind of leadership is inspiring, but you gotta listen to the best minds. TED Talks, there's tons of stuff out there.
Yeah. I think you had a question way in the back that, yeah.
I have a real quick question for Jim, and then I have another question for Lou. Was the professor that inspired you to go into sales, was it Joe Braden by any chance?
What was the name?
Was it Joe Braden by any chance?
No,
Professor?
that doesn't ring a bell. And to be very candid, I feel terrible. I don't remember the name. It was so long ago, but I know it sounds bad.
It sounded, the way you talked about it, sounded like a classic Joe Braden.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember that name.
The question is for Lou, and the question is, we probably have a number of students in the audience who are, set to graduate soon and want to go into their own business, and they don't quite know what they want to do. How did you figure it out? How did you figure out the catering was for you?
I would, if I'm going to answer your question with a process, I think when you're discerning on your career path, I think one of the most important things, and we chatted, I met some new friends over lunch, I think the most important thing you can do is you need to come up with a vision and for yourself, and that vision is very personal. You have to ask yourself, what do I love to do? How am I wired? What needs to be done? What am I good at? And if you ask yourself those questions, you're going to start coming up with a vision, an opportunity. Then you develop a team of people. As I may have said this earlier from repeating. You have a team of people always who are smart, who are capable to speak truth, have that, develop a plan, and keep it fluid, make sure it has flexibility in it. Keep training yourself. Keep learning about the power of leadership, macro level, leading others, and micro, leading yourselves. Develop a core belief system, like your boyfriend. He's got to believe my education or lack of formal education does not define me, and I'm going to define myself. And of course, if he didn't get the education, and he just goofed off the last bunch of years, he'd have a bigger problem. But he didn't. So I have a strong belief system, and then again, be intentional. So if you want to figure out what kind of business you want to be in or what you're going to do, if you do those things, start with a vision. Ask yourself, it's personal. What inspires me may not inspire you. What I'm good at, you may not be good at. So it's personal, each one of you. I would suggest if you're to be successful, you have to find what God has intended you to do. He built, in my own faith belief, I believe He built me, and He called me to do certain things. And He's given me responsibility with that, stewardship with that calling. So I'm not a priest or minister, but I still feel the call to minister within the business community, and that's one of my callings. But I suggest you go through a process like that. The world will open up to you, and you will get clarity as to what you need to do and where to start.
Absolutely. All right, we're down 10 minutes to the next session. So, one last question.
I went and saw you here last year, and you had a book list.
Yes.
I was wondering if the rest of you had any books or literature that you found especially helpful.
Anyone have a book list or books in particular that you find helpful?
Many books.
I love my library. I mean, I tell you, it's my baby. I have resisted making a switch over to digital just because I love my libraries. For me, there's too many to go into, but I'll give you Today Matters by John Maxwell, I think is outstanding. Winning by Jack Welch is excellent. For the young lady in the back, Strengths Finder. You really want to understand what it is you want to go into, read Strengths Finder. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. Anything, if you want to go into sales, anything by Brian Tracy's fabulous.
Daniel Pink, To Sell Is Human.
I haven't read this yet.
That's a good one.
E-Myth.
Yeah.
So.
Crucial Conversations, What Great Salespeople Do, Delivering Happiness, the Zappos book, Blue Ocean Strategy, The Dream Manager, The Go-Giver, Abundance.
Killer Brands.
Start with Why. God. Maximize your social, age of context.
The bigger challenge is, I mean, there's hundreds, there's always information. You could pull something out of everything. The bigger challenge is disciplining yourself every day to spend the time, turn off the reality shows, turn off the cell phones, 30 to 60 minutes every day. Write your ticket from there.
That's the key.
Training.
Well, thank you.
You're off and running. Thank you.